Hello everyone and welcome to this session about what is new in the PowerPack for Advanced till 2025. I'm so happy to share with you the novelties of the version that will be soon released. My name is Adriana Gerlan and I'm the Steel and PDM PowerPack Manager at GRAITEC. A few words about me. I started my career at GRAITEC more than 15 years ago, being responsible for the validation. Today, my focus is to drive and innovate the steel related products. Related to skills and certification, my competencies are around product management, steel design and detailing, Autodesk Advanced Steel and Revit, and GRAITEC Advanced Design modules. As a background in education, I have a Bachelor in Structural Engineer and a Master of Science in Advanced Studies in Engineering. Just want to share with you a few information about GRAITEC. Was founded in 1986. It's an international group. We have 50 offices in 13 countries worldwide. Our purpose is to help constructions and manufacturing professionals to successfully achieve their digital transformation. We have more than 700 employees. Um, we are a developer of high-performance BIM application and also a partner with Autodesk in Europe and North America. Now let's switch to the technical aspect of this session and talk about the novelties of the PowerPack for Advanced till 2025 version. Related to general functionalities, we have three topics: migration to .NET 8, multi-grid level, we have new options, camera browser, we have new options. For the package stairs and railings, we have a new type of stair, and for railings, a new type of joint. Compliancy, this is very important, and that's why I wanted to highlight this information. The PowerPack for Advanced till 2025 is compliant only with Autodesk Advanced till 2025 version. We will see a little bit later why is that. The first topic, .NET 8 migration. This is a very important migration. It's a major evolution of the .NET framework. It's not just an incremental update. As unlike the old .NET 4.8, the .NET 8 is more modern, it's open source and a cross-platform system. Advanced Steel has a better performance because of this migration. Also, it benefits from the latest AutoCAD enhancement. So for Advanced Steel, this translates with a 50% average reduction of time spent on opening drawings, 25% average increase efficiency of navigating the model, for example, orbit or pan, 35% average reduction of time for drawing generation, and for example, 20% average reduction of time for export. How this is translating for the PowerPack? Basically, it's more smooth to run on the top of Advanced Steel. Performance improvements of the plugins, so it helps us with the performance of the application, and of course the compatibility is just with Advanced till 2025. I know that some of you are used to have the PowerPack for Advanced till compatible with the current version and also the previous version. Unfortunately, because of this migration and this improvement of the performance, we cannot be compatible with Advanced till 2024 version. So this version is only about Advanced till 2025. Let's go to the next point, multi-grid level. For this functionality, we have manual label control and sub-axis options. What are the benefits of this? So basically, you can control the labels of the entire grid in one single command. You can set specific labels if that is required. And it's a text field relative to each grid line, yes, for the manual label control. Sub-axis options, this allows you basically to define a sub-axis from the same grid command. And it's replicating the sub-axis in levels with the option if you want to display them or not. Let's see now how these functionalities are working in Advanced till 2025. So if I start the multi-grid level command, in Advanced Steel 2025. It's generating automatically a default grid of 5 meters by 5 meters. And to see much better what we are doing, I made it 10 by 10. We have this option, manual labeling. This option is new, and once you check it, the label type start and everything is becoming gray, so it's disabled because you are editing manually the grid. So you are controlling the name of your grids. This can be done on both directions, on X and Y, and you can actually have a really different name for each grid. So we did it for axis X, and now we go to Y, and we rename all the axes. Of course, this naming will be propagated on the levels. You will see a little bit later. And if I go to subaxis and I enable one of the subaxis, I can actually pick the name of the um, main axis. Yes, so I can do that very easy by checking the option of the main axis name. For the levels, as I said, if you create levels, automatically the grids will be propagated and the naming accordingly will be updated and also colored based on the layer that you have selected. For the sub-axis, we do the same type of grid. For the purpose of the demonstrations, you see now that my manual labeling is not active, so you just generate the sub-axis. To the sub-axis tab, you just check the sub-axis that you want to generate. Automatically, if you check the main axis name, that sub-axis will pick the sub-axis name, the main axis name, and you can add a prefix or a suffix for that small new axis. Of course, we have um, other option. If we want for subaxis 2, we can add the prefix, suffix, and so on. So we can do that for each subaxis that we want to create. Also, you can choose a side distance. Yes, so you can edit the length and the side distance from the main axis. So it's like an offset from the main axis of that new sub-axis. It's very easy to edit. It's the same on both directions, on X and Y, so it's easy to control them. So you see, if I choose to put aside dimension distance and also a different length, I get this behavior. So it's very easy to control them. And again, if you are creating the levels, then these sub-axes are propagated on the levels. But what is very useful is that you can have sub-axes only to a certain level. You don't necessarily need to have the sub-axes at the same to the all levels. Yes, we can say that some of the floors are stopping, or some of the parts of the component of the structure are stopping to a certain level. So that is helping you to uh, disable the sub-axes when you don't need them. So that was about the multi-grid options new in PowerPack 2025. The next topic is related to camera browser and the new options we have, selected objects and predefined query functionalities. The benefits of these two options that we have now in the dialog of camera browser are the fact that you can do a direct change in the camera browser dialog. You can add or remove selected objects from the camera view after its creation, and the selection of predefined queries from the model. If you remember, the queries are stored in the main model via the Project Explorer. Now let's see how you can do that in Advanced Steel. So if you remember, in Advanced Steel, more exactly in 2022 version of Advanced Steel, a new option has been created, a new feature, select objects for camera. So if you open a camera of Advanced Steel, we can see that we have an option to select the objects for camera detailing. Yes, so we can pick actually the objects from the model. Yes, and it doesn't matter what type of object, any type of object. And also you can select a query. The query are the ones that are created via the Project Explorer. So that is the list of queries that you are seeing in this camera dialog from Advanced Steel. So I have selected three objects. I have the query rafters. These options are already available in Camera Creator tool, but we added these options also in the camera browser. So why is that? Because we wanted to complement the functionality and because of this camera browser where you have all your cameras created and you can do modification if is required. Yes. So you have all the options, select objects for camera, where you click and actually you pick objects from the model. Very easy. You can add them. So I already had the three objects. Now I'm adding more objects to the selection. And you will see now that I have 10 objects. Also, I have options to resettle or to change the query. Yes, I have the rafters, and if I want, I can change that. I can mark the selection or clear the marking. Yes. So if I have the complete options from the dialog of Advanced Steel in this browser. So it's very easy to manipulate. Also, what I'm doing here, it's updating in the same time in the camera properties of Advanced Steel. So if I go to the properties of the camera, you will see that the information have been updated and I have the 10 objects that I selected previously. So everything has been integrated in this from the camera properties to the camera browser dialog for you to speed up the modeling, to speed up the modification, and to do everything from this dialog without being necessary to open each camera independently. So we have arrived at the stairs and railings chapters, and for the stairs we have a new type of stair, cage ladder. A few functionalities of the new macro. The exit types can be straight split or split loop over with step of feature. For the ladder with cage at split exit, we have the possibility to define it as circular or rectangular, and we have welded and bolted options for hoops and stays. For ladder supports, folded plate with bolted and welded connections, and for styles, on the ladder, we have style with two rung with holes and weld options. We have created our own PowerPack cage ladder macro because we know that there are some missing functionalities in the current macro of Advanced Steel, and we integrated those in our macro. So the top 5 differentiator between the PowerPack for Advanced Steel and Advanced Steel cage ladder macro are the cage element of the macro works with split exit types. Advanced Steel does not do this, so you have to manually create it. You have the ability to incline the ladder without having to set the user coordinate system. You can adjust directly the inclination via the macro dialog. The ladder rotation on plan after the creation, which is not possible in Advanced Steel, you have to set the user coordinate system first and we create the ladder. Once you do that, you cannot move or rotate the ladder anymore. The holes created in the ladder for rungs connection. I know that it sounds simple, but Advanced Steel only creates contours and not full depth to meet the welding and fabrication standards. Ladder supports that are aligned to inside, middle, outside of the main ladder styles or stringers. Advanced Steel ladder ones are not positioned correctly. And we can go further with other differentiators like the GUI arrangement, the ladder, rung spacing, automatic calculation for that. Ladder and cage constraints to dialog highlighting to warn the user that are outside those constraints parameters. New step of feature or top mini platform that is not available in Advanced Steel macro. Now let's see how that looks in advanced steel directly. So we are in advanced steel and we will create a cage ladder. In the stairs and railings palette, you have a new option, cage ladder. So when you click, it's prompting to select the base point and of course point to define the um, ladder height and angle. Depending on the position of the point, you will have an angle of a certain angle or a vertical ladder. Once those points are selected, the dialog will open and you can start to build your cage ladder. As usually, we start with the definition of the cage. You have the ladder height, you have the ladder width, ladder layout, rotation, and pitch. Even if you didn't incline your ladder, now you can do it after. So it's not necessary that you have to recreate your ladder. No, you can do it after the creation if it's required. The cage is not enabled by default, but you can enable it, and you have a cage type like circular and rectangular. You have a main radius, distance from wrong, start height, and top offset. Yes. Also, the ladder is divided in two areas. So we have the main ladder and main cage, and we have the exit ladder and exit cage. We will see a little bit later in the macro. Now, how the rungs are calculated inside the ladder. Basically, these are the steps of our stair, and you can have them calculated automatically or you can have them equally spaced. Um, you can define the rise yourself and also the total number of rungs. As we said, if the distance is not correct according to constraints, it's highlighting that value. In the constraints tab, you define the minimum and maximum for different parameters of the ladder. Um, Also the profiles, and you can save these default constraints in your database for later if you need them. The same with cage. Here we have a distribution of segments that you can do by number or by spacing. So the numbers of hoops that you use in your cage, and the same you can define constraints by minimum and maximum. These are constraints that are coming from different standards, and you can define some cage profiles, yes, the strap and the hoop. The same, you can save those definitions in your library. Now if we go further on the ladder definition, so on the ladder tab, we have the ladder itself, the main one, and the exit, where you can choose the style section profile, the alignment, the rank profile as well, and the rotation if it's required, and also the connection of the rank. As we said, we can penetrate the style, or it can be aligned or cut. It depends how you need it from the fabrication point of view, and also you can choose how you want to control the welds for this one. In the welds tab, you have the weld positioning that is allowing you to weld on both sides of the style or on one side, either external or either internal. Also, the weld location, you have it shop or site as usually, and the type of weld, of course. If we go further to the exit, so the exit this time is enabled by default. So you have on this part of the top of the ladder. This is the exit type where you have additional rungs that you can for which you can define the geometry, but you can change the exit type and you can make it slide, extend it, or slide over. And for that, you can, of course, for this type of exit, you can control all the distances that are required for the loop, but also for the style corner type, for the loop corner type as well. And of course, the step off, we'll see it a little bit later. So these distances that are controlling that the loop, this exit type, it's very easy to define them and to play with the values. Also on the corner type, you can select the bolt joint positioning. So in order to have a not to have a corner and but to have a curved ending where the profiles are intersecting. Of course, we don't have additional rungs, but we have this area for the step off from the cage ladder. So this mini platform, top mini platform that we were talking at the beginning, is basically covering, filling the gap between the wall and the ladder. For this mini platform, you can control, like for the ladder, the rung type, the distances between the rung, spacing method, profile, connection type as well, rotation if is required, weld, um, all the properties that you actually have for the ladder, because this is a small ladder, horizontal one actually. Now we need to fix the ladder to the wall. For that we need the support. So in the ladder supports tab, you have the possibility to enable these supports, and you can align them outside, inside, or in in line with the style. And of course, what is important, you can offset independent couple of pair of supports, because sometimes it can overlap with another part of the, for example, in this case was the hoop of the cage. The hole diameter can be controlled as well. You can either bolt or weld the support to the ladder. For the support to the wall, you have it only with bolts. And of course, depending on what you are selecting, the bolts tab will be activated, where you can control the type of bolt, diameter, grade, the tolerance, and so on, and the location. Where do you want to put it, on site, on or on a shop? So it's very easy to control these supports, the properties of the supports. Now, if you go to the cage, we have the main cage, the main body, and for the strap, you have by segments or total length distribution. And if you have by segments, it's basically somehow a distribution of the, like posts in a railing, because if we think about this, is the railing of protection around our stair, which is a ladder. Yes, so each railing, each segment of this cage is independent, and you can offset it if it's needed. You can manipulate it independent. You can have control the welds as well per segment, spacing, and of course you can have different type of connections between the hoop and the straps. You can have it either bolted or welded. Yes, so it's your choice. Depending on what you are selecting, the tabs are activating, in this case the bolt one. And for the exit, as I said, the ladder is split in two. So it has the main body and the exit body. The same is also with the cage. We have the main cage and the exit cage that can be similar with the main cage. So basically all the properties of the main cage are also applied to the exit cage. Only a few parameters can be independently um, changed, like the hoop, the exit height, where we want to exit, the stop references, where we want to be, system line or outer edge, and the number of medium hoops. Yeah, so we have two. We want to have two hoops, basically. And again, the same segments, how the straps are distributed around the hoop, and bolt. We have a bolted connections on the main cage. We will have a bolted connection on the exit cage. Everything can be saved in a library, as we do with all our stairs. And of course, if it's required, you can reuse the cage on another model. You can add other connections as well. For this example, we used a connection for the exit a small base plate for this slide over loop over. So I hope you like this type of stair we have in our macros, and can wait for your feedback. We have arrived at the last chapter, the railings, and for the railings in this version we have created a new type of joint, the lap joint. This connection has been designed to connect the railings that are made of flat profiles. You can connect in two ways with bolts or welds, and you have multiple types of holes. Let's see how we can use this connection in advanced steel. So the connection is located in the pallet for stairs and railings under the connection area. You know already that we have one for tubular profiles. Now we have created this one for flat profiles. As usually, you need to select the two profiles that you want to connect, and of course you can you have the plate definition and the connection definition. The plate can be relative to the beam defined, or also you can set an absolute value um, for the plate. We can have a width projection that is that will make a smaller plate, and you can control the length of the plate independently in order to fit with your requirements. The position of the plate can be inside or outside of the railing, or on both sides. Also, you can have an offset um, for the plate. The offset is relative to the line where the two profiles are touching, are in contact. On the next tab, the connection definition, you can have you have the two sides of the connection. First side where you have a welded connection in this case, but you can switch it to bolted if required, and you can control the size, the type, and the location of the weld. And then on the second side, you have the bolted type of connection. Of course, that you can switch back to welded if is required. And for the bolt definition, as usually, you can control the type, the diameter, the grade, assembly, and the bolt can be reversed if is required. You have also a hole tolerance, and that can be controlled very easy. The positioning is similar to all bolted connection. You can have a number of rows, columns, distance between them, and of course row offset and column offset if it's required, depending on how you adjust your connection. All these parameters can be saved in a library that can be reused on other models if required, or set as default. So the next time you reuse this connection, it will automatically be set as you like to have it. The connection can be copied very fast using the traditional tools from Advanced Steel, and placed in several areas of the railings where the railing has been splitted, and with not known particular other changes on the plate, on this lap joint. So in a few seconds we have populated the railing with this lap joint that has been previously configured using the required parameters. I hope you like it and can wait for your feedback. We arrived at the end of this presentation, and I would like to remind you what are the new functionalities that will be available in PowerPack for Advanced Steel 2025 version. So the .NET 8 migration for a smoother and faster application. For multi-grid level, we have manual label and sub-axis options. For the camera browser, we have the selected object and predefined query options integrated in the dialog. We have a new type of stair, the cage ladder, that is allowing you to have different type of exits, straight, split, or split loop over, with the cage that are circular or rectangular, with ladder supports with folded plate with bolted and welded connections, the top mini platforms and so on. And the last one is the lap joint that is connecting railings made of flat sections. I hope you enjoyed what you see in this session. If you have any questions, please feel free to place them in the chat, in the questions area. If you don't have time now, please feel free to contact me at adriana.guerran@greitec.com. And thank you for your time, and can't wait to see your feedback on the new features from the PowerPack for Advanced Steel 2025.
All right, all right. So we have our expert Doug online with us. If you have any questions, you can throw those in the chat. And while we wait to see if we have any questions, I want to put on the screen for you guys, if you'd like a free trial for PowerPack for Advanced Steel, it's in the chat. It is also right there on the screen, so you can click the button there. It'll take you right there. All right. And so as we wait to see if we have any questions, Doug, do you have any, final wrap ups, any final details or anything you want to say to the audience?
Yep. No. Just want to point out again, a lot of the work went into upgrading to the .NET 8.8, so that way it can be in line with the advanced steel that was just recent release. We found that out at the beginning of the year, so there's a lot of bit of scrambling going on to get everything up to date with that. The release will be available 2025 for 2025 only. So if you're looking to implement it onto an earlier version of Advanced Steel, you can't. You're going to need to implement it onto the most recent version. Just keep that in mind. But this will come into play where you now have the new feature cage ladder and I find the camera browser, the new enhancements in there. It's really going to make a difference in finding your cameras, updating them, doing things like that. It speeds things up a lot. And with the new .NET 8, it's going to speed up the back end and the modeling and creation of your workflow. So a lot of good things in there, a lot of it in the background. We still have a few new features, a brand new connection, a brand new ladder tool that we didn't have before. And hopefully you find these interesting. And if you need them, just check them out. The PowerPack for Advanced Steel free download is there, and you can install it and check it out for free. That's it.
Fantastic. We did have a question come through from Phil. Will the lap plate work on any flat, possibly a ladder side rail?
That's a good question. I haven't tested that yet. So far, we've only tested it on the handrails, but if it's looking at, I believe the handrails are using plate, but I'm not 100% sure. I have to double check myself. I don't have the answer to that at the moment, sorry. But it's simple enough. If you, good idea, good question, and you can always try it out yourself as well.
All right, fantastic. And I do have Phil's email, so we can follow up with you, Phil.
Perfect.
If you guys think of any questions that you didn't ask during the live session, you guys can reach out to me at mscott@asti.com. I'll get you connected with the right person with the right answers. This question is always asked, so I like to say, yes, you will get a recording within 24, 48 hours. If for any reason you can't see the recording or you don't receive it, reach out to me as well. That's for any webinars. I'll get you hooked up and make sure that you got everything that you need. But I do, here we got a question. Does PowerPack have a side step ladder option?
Yeah, not at this point. It's just a step off, so straightforward. It doesn't have the side step yet. So I know you're talking about the cage at the top that opens to the side rather than straightforward. It doesn't have that as yet. It's the first implementation, or Rev 1, so they've only got it going off straightforward. So maybe in future releases, that when they do upgrades in that, they'll have the side step.
And Eddie says, is the PowerPack 2025 released?
Not yet. They were working for mid-June, but because of the upgrade to the .NET was kind of last minute there, things got pushed a little bit. So it's going to be, they're looking at the latest mid-July. They're hoping to get it out a bit sooner, but they're looking kind of to get it out mid-July at the latest. So soon, the next couple of weeks anyway, should be coming out.
Awesome, awesome. Great questions, guys. All right, well, I do want to thank you all for joining us today. I hope it was meaningful and impactful for you and your businesses. Doug, thank you so much for joining us as well. We look forward to seeing you all on future webinars. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
All right, guys, take it easy.